At this hour, the U.S. Supreme Court began hearing oral arguments, two cases that would ultimately seal the fate of President Biden's federal student loan forgiveness plan. Joining us this morning to talk more about the case and what is at stake is Casey Mattox, Vice President of Legal and Judicial Strategy at Americans for Prosperity. Good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. Legally speaking, what are the justices going to be taking into account in these cases?
Sure. Well, there's two cases that will be argued. And in both cases, the court is considering both the legality of what the president did to cancel $400 billion or so in student loan debt, whether the president actually has that power under both the statutes the Congress has passed and under the Constitution, and whether the people who are bringing the challenge have what's called standing, the ability to bring those cases in court. So the court's looking at two different cases related, but ultimately that's the big issue in front of the court today.
Right, and they're litigating fairness at the end of the day, right? Because some people have already paid out their debt. I'm curious, you look at the number of Supreme Court justices that have college savings accounts for their kids. You've got Justice Roberts, Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, Ketanji Brown Jackson. They know what it's like to go into debt, have to pay for college, whether it's for themselves or someone else. How likely is that to factor into the judge's decision as they consider their cases?
I don't think it's likely to factor in very much at all. I mean, these are human beings who are aware of the human reality of this problem. But I think ultimately these justices are going to be making a decision based on the law. I think that's what we've seen from some of the recent cases. The court's going to be looking at what power does the president have under the HEROES Act? Does the president actually have the power that the president is claiming to have? The other questions, I think, about the wisdom of the decision, those are questions I think that the justices have signaled are questions that really ought to be decided across the street over in Congress, not over at the Supreme Court, where they're supposed to be making determinations about whether the political actors are acting within the power that they claim to have.
So you've got the legal argument. You also have the economic consequences if this were to go through. So you look at federal student loan borrowers have steadily increased since 2007. I mean, this is millions upon millions of dollars. What impact does it have more largely on the economy if the justices essentially side with the president's plan?
Well, I mean, certainly, whenever you're looking at $400 billion being taken out of the U.S. Treasury effectively, that's going to have a significant impact on the economy. And so, what the president has essentially done was to spend taxpayer dollars. And the argument is that the president doesn't have the power to do that, that if Congress wants to make that determination, that's Congress's job. But there's a harm, I think, and this kind of comes up in the standing questions in these cases. Often you'll hear people say that people didn't have, individuals didn't have standing to complain about what's happening with Congress here. The argument is not that people aren't harmed. All of us are harmed when the government spends our taxpayer dollars without proper authorization. The question is, do we have a unique harm? And that's where I think the states in these cases are bringing a separate argument, because they actually have these separate entities that are state-created entities that are supposed to be managing these student loan programs, and so they're uniquely harmed by this. But certainly, when you're looking at the sort of the $400 billion that's at stake here, it has an impact on our economy, and that's something that the political actors, not a bureaucrat and an agency, ought to be making determinations about.
Yeah, interesting. Well, it will be probably June before we know where this thing lands. Casey Mattox, thanks for your time this morning. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.